I should have known something was wrong when she first looked at me. Her eyes were too deep, too full of something I couldn't name. Something that made my blood run cold, but at the same time, made me want to dive in head first. Lust, maybe, but there was something darker, far more sinister beneath it. Something that called to me, pulled me in. I didn't stand a chance. Her name was Lilith, and I was nothing more than a moth to her flame. But flames, don't just burn, they consume. It was just supposed to be a casual night at the bar. I'd had a rough week, needed to forget everything. But the moment she stepped in, it was like the room shifted. Time slowed down, lights dimmed, and there she was, standing in the doorway. Dark hair cascading over her shoulders, lips curved in a way that felt like a promise I shouldn't want to keep. She walked over, no hesitation, like she knew I'd be here, like I was the one she was looking for. She didn't even say hello, just sat down next to me, her fingers lightly brushing mine as she ordered a drink. I should have walked away then, but I didn't. When her hand grazed mine, I didn't think much of it, but then I felt it, the chill that ran up my spine, the weird pulse of heat that followed. My body was responding before my mind could process what was happening. I couldn't tear my gaze away from her, no matter how wrong it felt. She leaned in close, her voice a hushed whisper. "I know what you want. I can give it to you." And just like that, the world outside the bar ceased to exist. All that mattered was the weight of her words, the fire in her eyes. The desire surged, almost painfully, through me, and I couldn't say no. I followed her out into the night, like a puppet on invisible strings. When we got to her apartment, everything felt like a dream, a twisted, intoxicating dream. The air was thick with something heavy, a scent I couldn't place, but I could feel it wrapping around me. She took my hand and led me inside, her movements fluid, hypnotic. The moment the door closed behind us, I felt trapped. The room was dark, the only light coming from candles that flickered, casting strange shadows on the walls. She stood in the center, waiting, her body gleaming under the dim light. But as soon as she spoke again, I knew I'd made a terrible mistake. "Do you feel it?" she whispered. "You're mine now." The moment she touched me again, everything changed. It was like a wave of heat crashing over me too fast. I couldn't think. My body was moving without my permission, pulled into a frenzy of desire I had no control over. And then I felt it. The sharp, cold bite against my skin. Her lips on my neck, her nails digging into my flesh. She wasn't kissing me anymore. She was feeding. I could feel her energy draining from me, like I was a battery being sucked dry. But I couldn't pull away. I wanted to, but my body refused to listen. The pleasure, it turned into pain, and the pain into something else, something far worse. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My body was shutting down, my vision fading in and out. In that moment, I understood what she truly was. A monster. Not just a creature of lust, but a soul stealer. A being born of darkness, using pleasure as a weapon to enslave. Her voice twisted in my ear, low and guttural. "You belong to me. Forever." And then, she pulled away. But it wasn't her. At least, not fully. Her face changed. Her eyes went black, her teeth elongated, and she smiled. It was the last thing I saw before the darkness took me. I don't know how much time passed. All I know is when I woke up, it was dark. So dark I couldn't see. My body was numb, my mind shattered. I was still in her apartment. but she was gone. The air was thick with the taste of blood. I tried to move, tried to scream, but something inside me broke. I wasn't me anymore. I was just a shell. A hollowed out thing, forever marked by her touch. And somewhere deep in the shadows, I could hear her voice again, low, mocking, lingering. You'll never escape me. Not now. Not ever.